Hey guys, what's up? Hope you're doing good. Omar back today. Gonna show you some bass processing stuff so that the bass can sit a bit nicer in the mix overall. We're just gonna be looking at this bass loop, and I'll show you some cool tips and tricks that we can do to make it sound better and sit nicer in our final mix down. So that's a basic deep house square wave. The first thing I'd do to process it a bit better would be to EQ out some of the low end. This would be if I want to get rid of any muddy frequencies. I'd EQ out just this small bit here. And what that does is it allows the bass to move a bit cleaner in the mix. If it's a nicely processed sample, which you can kind of tell by your ears, and it's not too muddy, you don't really need to cut out any low frequency. But as you can see on our EQ8, we've got like a spectral analysis here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the top end off. You can get an instant warmer bass. So what we could do is we could duplicate this, pressing Command D, and then we can turn this up a few semitones, maybe 7. And what we could do is we could EQ the low end of this and have a layered bass, one that's low tonality and one that's high. So let's hear them together. Just get that in key. So to go up an octave, it's 12 semitones. And to go down an octave, it's minus 12 semitones. So we've got quite a nice sub bass there. And we're just going to look at some other processing tips that we can use in our bass to make it sound nicer. So firstly, I'm going to look at Chorus, which is one of my favourite plugins. Adds a nice metallic feel to the bass line and makes it sound a lot better. So definitely something to experiment with to make your bass line sound nicer. The next thing I'll add is some saturator. So adding some saturation will make the bass sound warmer, slightly louder as well, so we can change the wave. I recommend Sinoid Fold as it's my favourite. And if you tweak the bass, you can get slightly acidic notes out of the bass line. That's something that you could automate. Another thing we could do is add an LFO onto the end of this bass loop. And once it loads, we could map this to any parameter that we want. So if I was to map it to the bass, for example, you can see it's moving the bass by itself, and we can control this LFO by tweaking the percentages up here. We can also change this to a fixed rate as opposed to a non-synced rate to get some similar results, and we can speed that up. Very fun. So there's some quick bass processing techniques that I use to make the bass sit nicer in the mix. If you think your bass is too loud, just simply turn it down over here, and that will help the bass sit a bit deeper in the mix. So you want it to sit a bit deeper than the kick, for example. You want your kick to be quite loud and your bass. So allow headroom for your bass and your kick. Another thing I'll do is put minus 6 dB on the master to avoid any clipping. This is something that you can save in a template, and I'll include that template in the resources below for you guys. So thank you for watching. Speak to you in the next one. Bye. That's how you process a bass. Make it sit nice in a mix down.